Hi, and welcome to this live reading from The Music That Ties Us, a Rockstar Romance Book 2 by Nicolette Terry. And this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1, Cadence. Summer. Excitement for tonight coursed through me. It had been too long since I'd gone out and spent time with my sister, just the two of us, and there was nothing better than seeing a live band play. Jade had been pumping me up for this concert for weeks, claiming this band was her newest obsession. I didn't listen to rock music often. Not because I didn't like it, it just wasn't my usual go-to. But music resonated with me in all forms, so my anticipation for the night grew as the hour got closer. Touching up my makeup, I grabbed my outfit off my bed and I got dressed. Summer was in full swing, so I decided on jeans, shorts, and a floral tank. Since I didn't need to impress anyone, I left my brown hair in a messy bun. The front door opened and I heard Elijah call. "Hey, babe, in here," I yelled. Elijah walked into our bedroom, loosening his ties as if by clutch. That beginning honeymoon phase of our relationship ended a long time ago, and it had been a long time since we greeted each other with a welcome home kiss. He threw his suit jacket on our bed before studying me. "Are we going somewhere? Do we have plans?" "I'm meeting with Jade, remember?" "No, I don't." "She's taking me to the music factory to see a band." He stilled. "Where?" "The music factory." "That place is a shithole. You can't go there." I crossed my arms and shifted my weight onto one leg. "Elijah, stop. You're being ridiculous." He ran a hand through his hair. "Cadence, imagine if someone saw you there. People would begin to think I go to places like that." Pretended to shiver. "Call Jade and tell her you're not going. I won't allow you to tarnish my reputation by being seen somewhere so beneath us." Speechless, my mouth fell open. All my eagerness for the night drained from my body. Tension filled my limbs as a fire burned inside me. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. He rarely talked to me that way. "Listen," I said, crossing my arms over my chest. "I don't know what kind of day you had, but you don't control what I do. You don't get to tell me I can't go somewhere with my sister. If you have a problem, we can sit here and discuss it like adults." He let out a sigh and stepped closer to me. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to come out like that. You know that my parents take your Powell name extremely serious." And I did. Elijah was the son of a prestigious family. Charleston had its own royal hierarchy, and the Powells were high on that list as one of the founding families and well known throughout the area. When he first brought me to visit his family in South Carolina, I was shocked to see the upbringing he'd come from. In the halls of Villanova, Elijah had simply been a normal college kid who stayed up too late having fun, studying only when absolutely necessary, and playing music on his guitar. But in his family home, he'd become a completely different person. He'd been stiff, unfeeling, and missing that love for life he normally exhibited. When we returned to school, he reverted to the man I knew once more. I thought it had been a fluke, just a bad weekend, but after we moved to Charleston together, I realized that the Elijah I met at college was the fluke. He no longer played the guitar, said he didn't have time for silly things anymore. But that had been one of the things about him I'd fallen in love with. Back then, we had shared our passion for music, the melodies, the lyrics, the rhymes. But now there wasn't much we shared anymore. "It's fine," I said, responding to his apology. I grabbed my clutch. There was no truth to my words, but what else could I say? Escalating this fight was the last thing I wanted to do right now. "Listen, Jade is going to be here in a few minutes. Let's talk when I get home, okay?" His eyes narrowed, a clear sign of his unhappiness about my decision to go, despite him wanting me to stay, but he kept any further comments unspoken. Smart man. "You could always come with us. We used to go see live bands all the time." Maybe we'd reconnect again and reignite that spark we seemed to have lost. Back to when we couldn't keep our hands off each other and the world spun around the two of us. It'd been so long since I felt connected with him. Elijah scoffed, unbuttoning his dress shirt. "Hell no, I'm good." He'd answered quickly, proving his priorities. Sadly, I was never one of them. Deflated and defeated, I gave him a quick kiss on the cheek as Jade honked her horn from the driveway. "I'll be back soon. Love you." I turned away from him without waiting for a response. It wasn't until I walked downstairs that he finally replied. "Love you too." "Hey girl, are you excited?" Jade squeaked as I climbed into her car. Jade was never anything other than who she was. There were items scattered around the inside of her car, and it was a little messy, but it smelled just like her, a mingled scents of raspberry and vanilla. The familiarity alone helped me relax. I couldn't help but smile. Her vibrant energy was infectious, and I tried to soak up some of her positivity to counter the unsettling way I'd left things with Elijah. Jade Hardy and I were stepsisters. My dad and her mom married after my parents split. Unfortunately, their marriage only lasted a few years. Despite the breakup, our sisterly bond continued to grow over the years. It didn't matter that we weren't related by blood. We were sisters in all the ways that mattered. Funny enough, my dad had met Jade's mom in Charleston on one of his business trips. Who would have guessed I'd eventually move here years later? I got you a pick-me-up, Jade said. Staring at the unnaturally red beverage in her cup holder, I almost got contact caffeine high from its nearness alone. As good as Code Red is, I gave it up after last time. Mountain Dew might be delicious, and Code Red was my favorite flavor, but it was all about 3 days worth of my sugar intake, and it gave me the shakes. Jade shook her head. That's mine. Yours is right here. She thrust the styrofoam cup into my hand, and I took it with narrowed eyes. My mom always told me not to accept an open container from a stranger. Good thing I'm not a stranger. Just drink it, you dork. I pulled the plastic straw into my mouth and drank, sipping desperately like an alcoholic taking their first swig of liquor. Dr. Pepper from the sofa. Oh my God, you're a saint. Jade giggled. I know. As she pulled out of the driveway, I cast a longing glance at my house as we drove away. There was a part of me that secretly wished Elijah would appear at the window waving, or at least watching us leave. Any hint that our brief fight had bothered him as much as it did me. But he didn't. With both cars tucked away in the closed garage and all the curtains drawn, our house felt vacant, an empty shell instead of a welcoming home. I let out a heavy breath and took another sip of my drink. Jake glanced my way. Okay, what's wrong? Didn't want to tell her. I couldn't handle her judgment of my relationship or have her blame Elijah, even when he was wrong. I always felt a deep-seated need to defend him. Just a little mixed up with Elijah. He didn't realize I was going out tonight. Oh, he misses you, I snorted. Yeah, that's it. Jay peeked at me from the corner of her eye, but kept her focus on the road. Is it something else then? No, it's really nothing. That was a simple misunderstanding. An exchange I honestly didn't want to talk about and would love to forget. Talking about it kept the emotions he triggered to the forefront of my mind. I just wanted to let them go and enjoy tonight. It was easy to be myself, and I needed that. Now, keep your eyes on the road and tell me about this band. She perked up immediately, and her chest puffed up in delight. I had executed a perfect change of tune. Oh my gosh, Kay, she gushed, and changed lanes without using the turn signal, causing the driver of the car behind us to blare their horn. They're so amazing. The band's name is Rebel Rebellion. All of the band members are so nice and down to earth. I can't wait to introduce you to them. Their music just gets to me, you know? And I did. It's how I felt when I listened to songs that resonated with me, like the artist wrote the melody for me and only me. It doesn't hurt that the guys are easy on the eyes either, she grinned wickedly. So, do you follow them because you like their songs or because you think they're hot? Jade laughed. I mean, both? Can I say both? We erupted into contagious fits of giggles, each burst of laughter peeling away layers of stiffness, and I felt more and more like myself. Well, there's no better way to get ready for a concert than to jam out to the songs ahead of time. Put them on. Jade grinned. Thought you'd never ask. Despite the venue being located just across town, the trip from my house on John's Island took us a full hour. Connectors between islands were busy on a good day, but they were a complete mess during rush hour. We didn't mind the traffic, since it gave us plenty of time to relax and listen to music. When we finally reached the music factory, we were giddy from the caffeine and in the middle of a sugar rush we planned to continue with a few sugary cocktails. We bounced on the balls of our feet as we paid our cover, then went inside. The bar lined with red cushioned bar stools was the first thing we saw when we walked through the door. One of the male bartenders lifted his head to greet us before shaking a drink. This was the first time I'd stepped inside this place, and I couldn't believe how intimate and cozy it was. I'd expected a grand hall with high ceilings and bright lights, but the music factory was the opposite. I blinked rapidly, allowing my eyes to adjust. The lights were dim, except behind the bar and on stage, and there were only 8 tables for guests to sit. The stage was up against the far wall, and there was plenty of room in front of it for everyone to get up and dance to the music. I was warm, despite the air conditioning working hard to keep the heat at bay. Thankfully, I'd kept my hair up instead of styling it down and having it stick to my neck. As we walked toward the bar, Jade grabbed my arm, her long nails digging into my skin. Oh, there they are! My gaze followed hers to where four guys stood around a foldable table filled with Rebel Rebellion merch against the far wall. The other bands had tables set up too, but it was clear Jade had only one destination in mind. Come on, let's go say hi. She pulled me along, and her enthusiasm overflowed as we got closer. Hey, you made it out again, one member said, his lips curling into a smile. But this time I brought my sister. This is Cadence. The stranger offered his hand in a welcoming gesture. His curly blonde hair tumbled just past his chin, framing a face set with chocolate brown eyes and a smile that radiated warmth and sincerity. He dressed simply in a graphic tee and black jeans. I'm Hudson. Nice to meet you. Hudson's the drummer, Jade added. It's nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to the show. And I'm Shane, guitarist. The man slid smoothly into place beside Hudson, gently edging him aside. He dressed entirely in black, his ensemble complementing the light brown colored hair that cascaded to his chin. With his hair parted on the side, I could only see one of his dazzling hazel eyes until he swept the locks back. When I put my hand in his, he leaned into me and smiled. It's always nice to meet our fans. I wouldn't say I'm a fan since I haven't heard you play yet. Shane smirked. It's only a matter of time. Causing trouble already, Shane? A tall figure emerged behind him. He sported a white baseball cap worn backward, allowing wisps of brown hair to escape and hang over his deep brown eyes. His lip piercing, the hint of stubble on his face, and the mischievous curve of his smile pulled me in. It never caused trouble. Shane crossed his arms. I bet your mom would say differently, Hudson said. Shane grunted in response. Colton, this is my sister Cadence, Jade interjected. Cadence? Colton. Colton squeezed my hand tighter than a customary handshake, and I tilted my head. And what part do you play in this band? Bass guitar. See. And that over there, Colton directed my attention to a form along the wall, is our other guitarist, Jeremiah. He was dressed in all black, stationed near the venue's door with a phone held to his ear. The only visible details from this distance were his dark polished nails and the sleek black color of his hair, all combining to add an air of mystery and charm to his presence. He turned to Jade. Did you say there were 5 of them? Our lead vocalist is still on the bus, probably fixing his hair, Colton chuckled. Why am I not surprised? Jade wrapped her arm around me. We're going to get ourselves a drink. We'll come back to chat later. I'm glad you made it to another show, Jade. It was nice to meet you, Cadence, Colton said. Same to you, I said over my shoulder as Jade pulled me away. So, what do you think so far? Jade asked as soon as we were out of earshot. Honestly, I'm surprised we could meet them like that. I just assumed there would be a swarm of screaming fans. I'm not sure why, but I didn't think they'd be so normal. Yeah, exactly. What can I get you ladies? The bartender asked as we walked up to the bar. I'll have a sex on the beach. Jade grinned at me. Of course she would. It was her signature cocktail. Malibu and pineapple for me, please. I loved how they brought my mind to the beach somewhere in the Caribbean. So, exactly how many times have you seen them play? They seem to know you pretty well. Jay shrugged. Maybe 4 or 5, but I've talked to them at every show. I'm just surprised they remember my name. They meet countless people. Well, you are quite unforgettable. Jade tended to overlook the fact that she was gorgeous. Even though Jade and I weren't biological sisters, we still looked apart. Her hair was long like mine and the same shade of dark brown. We were both petite and considered short. The only significant difference between us was the color of her eyes. Hers were a deep brown, whereas mine were the color of amber. The bartender placed 2 glasses in front of us. You ladies are all set. Thank the gentleman down at the end. Jade and I grabbed our drinks and turned to smile at a middle-aged man dressed in a button-up and dress slacks. Jade waved to him, but the person walking in behind him immediately drew my attention. Captivated, I watched as he walked into the bar like he owned the place. There was an undeniable confidence in his bearing, a magnetism that made it impossible for me to look away. Adorned in a simple white Henley tee paired with gray jeans and black combat boots, his attire hugged his body, accentuating his well-sculpted physique. There was a hint of color marking his skin above the collar of his shirt and up the side of his neck. and I suspected that wasn't the only tattoo on him. With each step he took, light glinted off the chain draped from the front pocket of his jeans to the back. His deep red hair was tousled effortlessly atop his head, perfectly outlining the striking features of his scruffy but handsome face. Transfixed, I remained motionless as he made his way to the table of guys Jade and I had just left. As he circled behind it and greeted the members of Rebel Rebellion, a wave of realization washed over me. Then he lifted his head, and his gaze met mine. His eyes were a piercing shade of icy blue, and they ensnared me in an unbreakable hold. I inhaled sharply, my cheeks warming. He totally just busted me for ogling him from across the room, and now there was no escaping the intensity of his gaze. A gaze that seemed to see right through me. Perfect timing, Jade said, snapping me out of the spell. I just saw Damien. Come on! I allowed Jade to lead me once more, fully aware of our destination and the person she intended to introduce me to. But little did she know, we'd already had our own introduction.